Hello and welcome to the Book Bunch. My name is Sam. It is so great to have you guys here for another video. Today is another themed video for you guys on some books that I've read that are great books if you love magic. I probably have a couple others I could add to the list, but I couldn't find them in the physical, so I'll just leave them out for now and might add them into another video once I've read some more magic books for you guys. But we're going to get started with some that you probably already heard me talk about, and then throughout there'll be a couple that I have just read this week, so that, yeah, it's a bit of old but a bit of new. So if you like magic, this video is for you. Okay, so some of these are Christian and some of these are not Christian, but they are all clean. So yeah, hopefully that means you'll still give them a shot. But the first one is The Enchanted Sonata. This one is actually a Nutcracker retelling, and oh my goodness, I have never been so in love with the Nutcracker as I did when I read this book. So this book was super amazing and is very magical. I really enjoyed it. Great recommendation for a Christmas book if you're looking for one as well. I know it's not Christmas yet, but you might as well add it to your list now so that you've got a copy in time for Christmas. But this book was following a girl named Clara. She's from the real world and she gets sucked into the magical world of the Nutcracker, where the Nutcracker is this like life-size Nutcracker doll, and he has been magically changed that way, and I'm just trying to remember what else it's about. Oh yes, and Clara is a pianist. She's like a yeah, she is a pianist, or she's like engaged to a pianist or something. And she's like on the eve of her wedding or the eve of Christmas or something, she gets gifted this Nutcracker, and when she opens it, she gets transported to this other world, and it's kind of through dreams, but kind of not. But it's actually also a bit of a mix of the Pied Piper, which was a really interesting take on it. I really enjoyed it because essentially in this world with the Nutcracker, the Pied Piper is a magician who, when he plays his fiddle, he turns all the villagers into toys. And that's how the prince gets turned into the Nutcracker, as he was affected by this magic. And yeah, she has to help undo this magic before basically it's too late. But it's super interesting. There's also a war going on at the same time against these evil rats in this world, so that there is a lot going on, but it was really good, really well done. I'm very poorly explaining it because it has been a little while since I've read it, but I highly recommend it if you like magic and you like Christmas. Okay, another one, very different to the one I just shared, but this is Trace of the Emerald Sea. Out of all of Brandon Sanderson's books, because they're all a bit magical, this one is probably the most actually magical, because there is a sorceress in this one. But we follow Triss, who lives on this island, and she goes on this mission and leaves her hometown and her home island and breaks a bunch of laws in order to go save her true love, because he went away on a mission with his, like, well, not a mission, but like I don't know the right word to use, but like he is like a noble, that's the word, and he goes off with his dad on this like noble thing He's being forced to find a wife, but he doesn't want to because he loves Tress. And he ends up going missing, and the father comes back and pretends as if he never existed. And Tress is not happy with it, so she is like, well, no one else is going to save him, so I'm going to. And she basically goes against all of her own instincts in order to go save the man that she loves, and it's very cool. And yes, she learned about magic and this really interesting world along the way, and she has to go save her true love from this sorceress who has captured him. And yes, it was very cool, very interesting. The magic wasn't like the actual magic, like the sorceress magic, isn't a huge part of the story, but the actual world itself is a little bit magical, just not necessarily in the traditional magic sense. So I've popped it on the list because I think if you like magic, you would like this anyway. Then I have The Night Circus, which I think almost everyone has read at this point, but it is a great one if you haven't read it. I do not recommend her other books because they are not clean, but I will recommend this one to you because it is, and it was amazing, and I loved it. It is magic, it is Tim Burton, and it is a circus competition. So basically, in this world, there are magicians, and the magicians are like, the magic isn't illusion, it's real. But the magicians aren't allowed to tell the people that their magic is actually real. So they cover up their real magic with illusions. And they have a competition between like some of the higher ups in the magical world. And they basically pit their apprentices against each other to see who's going to be the best. And it's to the death. And our main character, she gets signed up to this competition against her will, and her father signs her up because he's a magician. And she has to fight this magical competition to the death, and she does not know who her opponent is because their identities are kind of kept from each other. And yeah, the arena that they have to fight in is this traveling circus that appears all over the world, very, very sporadically. No one really knows where it's going to show up. It just shows up for a couple of nights in one spot and then it just disappears and shows up somewhere else. And yeah, every night that this circus is on is another round in this magical competition, and they have to try and make these illusions and out illusion each other. It's very cool. I had a great time. Really recommend it. If you like magic, if you like Tim Burton, this is very, very cool. Then one that because we're on the circusy section, I have finished the Caraval series. I can't remember if that's actually what it's called or not. But yes, so I've read all three now. I read these two this week and I really enjoyed it. My only issue with this as a Christian is it does deal with tarot card stuff. So depending on your sensitivities, it might bother you, but for the most part I was fine with it, because it is it was actually written by a Christian, but also it doesn't portray them as good beings. It's constantly reiterated that they're evil. So I was kind of okay with it, but I just thought I'd let you know in case you're not. But I had a great time with Caraval. The first two are set in the Caraval competition things, and then the third one is a bit different. So the premise of Caraval is that there is this magician, I guess he is, named Legend, and he holds, like every few years, he holds these week-long magical competitions in different locations around the world, and he uses his magic to like basically sweep everyone into this weird game where nothing is real, but everything is real at the same time. And the whole idea is that like you'll sleep during the day, and then at night you can go out and explore this world of Caraval, and you have to follow these clues, and then whoever wins the competition gets a wish from Legend that will come true, and they can use it on anything. And yeah, then you can get tickets to the next one. And yeah, we follow these sisters who have always wanted to go to Caraval, but have never been able to, and they live with a very abusive father, and their mother has disappeared. And the eldest is about to be married off to someone she's never really met, and then the youngest, she's a bit of the rebel, and a bit of, they kind of both play the rescuer for each other in different ways, but she basically gets her sister kidnapped and takes her to Caraval because she doesn't want her sister to get married off to this guy she's never met, and they both want to escape their father. And so they end up in Caraval, but they like the elder sister arrives at Caraval, and her sister's meant to be waiting there for her, but her sister's gone missing, and so she like is like, I've got to find my sister, and then all these things happen, and her mission in Caraval is basically to find her sister, because Legend ends up sending her these messages and clues specific to finding her sister, and he's like, you'll only find your sister if you win Caraval. So that is what book 1 is about. Book 2 follows the other sister, and is another Caraval. But this one is a special one because normally they're like a year apart or something, like they don't happen close together, but this one is happening only a week different from the first book, because it is the empress's, I think she's an empress, of their like whole kingdom. It's her birthday, and so Legend has agreed to do a Caraval for this empress's birthday. But yes, we swap perspective and follow the sister, and this time the sister is trying to win Caraval, and all of this crazy stuff happens. And then book 3 is very different because it is no longer a Caraval. And sorry, my baby's in the background. And yeah, this is about I'm trying to think of how much I can tell you without spoiling it, but there are these gods which are called like gods, which are called the Fates, and they are the beings that are tarot cards. I don't know if they're the real tarot cards because I've never seen tarot cards before, but they're essentially they're called the Fates from the deck of destiny, and they are real magical beings who are immortal. But they all have a weakness, and if that weakness is exposed, then they can be killed. And these Fates are evil. And so the two sisters and some of their friends are trying to get rid of the Fates again because the Fates have escaped from their prison. And it is all to do with the first 2 books. Like, it sounds very disconnected, but it does all flow in very nicely. But yes, it is a very different feel to the first 2, just so that you're aware. But awesome, loved it, very magical, highly recommend. Then there is The Sinking City by Christine Cohen. I loved this book. This was super cool. This is about it's like an alternate history where we're in Venice, but Venice is sinking. And like it's set in like I want to say like the 1800s or something. Like it's set pretty far in the past. But yeah, in this world, Venice was only being held up by magic, and all like the local Venice magicians, and they had made an alliance and a pact basically. No, what's it called? Like a treaty or whatever, with the beings that lived under the city, which are like these sea monster humanoid creature things. And they had this pact, that they wouldn't interfere with each other. However, the sea monsters are wanting to break that pact and wanting to sink Venice. And so Venice is sinking, and we follow this main girl who is meant to go marry the king of the sea monsters, so that the like sea monsters can breathe on land, because they can't breathe on land very well. And she doesn't want to, obviously, because she didn't agree to it. And she runs away and pretends to be a boy, because boys can become magicians and magicians' assistants. And so she runs away, becomes a boy, joins this magician, and is trying to learn how to break her curse, because she's been cursed because she hasn't married this sea monster man. And so she wants to break her own curse, and she basically becomes a magician. And it's very cool and it's very awesome, and I loved every minute of it, and I highly recommend it. And this cover is just absolutely perfect, and I could stare at it for the rest of my life. And similar to that, on like, if you like this, I feel like you'd like this vibe, is Spellmaker and Spellbreaker, which is a duology. I loved this. I'm definitely going to get more books from this author. But Spellbreaker is book 1, Spellmaker is book 2. So I read this week, and I reviewed this in the last video. But this series is about this girl who is an unregistered spellbreaker. So in this world, most people can learn magic. However, and it like costs you money and stuff. However, there are a few people who are born that all they can do is break spells, and it's a born ability. You can't learn it. And she's been born that way, and you're meant to register as a spellbreaker and get proper training if you have this ability, but she didn't, because she was an orphan, and she became a bit of a vigilante, trying to like help other kids in her situation, and the poor and the oppressed and stuff like that. And so she's been keeping it a secret. And yeah, she's been following these instructions from this anonymous person that like saved her from the orphanage she was in, and like helped her learn her skills a bit, but she's never met the person. And she'll like just get letters randomly asking her to go break a certain spell on something. And she's always told like, oh, it's like it's freeing some people who are wrongly convicted, or it's letting these servants go free because their evil master is locking them away, and like different things like that. And so she goes off on these missions and does this. And yeah, on one of her missions, things don't go to plan. She gets caught, and the guy that she gets caught by is like, he's like the rank under a master level magician, but he's like gonna go do his test to become a master. And yeah, he catches her, but instead of turning her in, he's like, I have some work for you to do. If you pay off this debt to me, I will let you go free, and I won't tell on you. And so that's kind of what this whole series is about. and there is love, and it is cute. But yes, it's set in England in 1895. And yeah, this second book is about them trying to track down this a murderous magician, um, that is like fits in with book one. It's super interesting. I really liked it. Definitely recommend. And if you like a bit of romance in your books, this is a good one for the romance. And finally, to share with you guys, so I've been saying a lot, is Wistress, which I love this book. This is by Nadine Brandes. This book follows a girl named, I've forgotten her name now, keep forgetting everyone's name, Mirth, and she is the Wistress, and the Wistress is someone who is born with the ability to grant wishes through her tears. But the issue with granting those wishes is if there aren't enough parameters on them, things can go terribly wrong. And people can end up dead or maimed and not good. And she grows up with her grandmother, and her grandmother knows about her powers and basically uses her for them, and refuses to teach her the right way to use them. So every time she has used them on her own volition, people have gotten hurt or died. And so she feels incredibly guilty and feels like she shouldn't have the power, and it's just like not a good time. But really, it's not her fault because she's genuinely never been taught, and she has tried to be taught, and yeah, things haven't gone the way she would like. So we follow Mirth, and she ends up giving helping someone who comes to her for a wish, but that wish turns on her and results in her and ending up being cursed. And this person that curses her tells her that the next tear she cries will kill her. And so she has to try and suppress her powers and not use her powers and suppress her emotions to make sure she doesn't cry. And she basically goes on this mission to try and see if there's a way to undo this curse. And what she can do, and it's really good. There is another main character in this as well. He has got his own magic, but he too needs to go to this because there's this well in this world where it is kind of like the source of a lot of the powers. And he needs to go back there as well, so they team up a little bit. But it's super interesting. I really enjoyed it. Again, doing a terrible job at explaining books today, but there you go. There are some magical recommendations for you guys if you like magic. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if there's any magic books you would like me to read, because I do really enjoy them. I really like magic. So yeah, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.